what the divine masculine's silence really means. When the divine masculine goes silent, he stops texting, he stops calling, and stops reacting. And it feels like he just vanished. We have a question in our mind popping up. What is going on here? He moved on, he doesn't care, he never felt it, what I felt. But the silent phase in a twin flame separation is often one of the most intense inner transformations. It's happening inside the masculine energy. And if there is silence right now, something very serious is happening beneath the surface. Hi, I'm Agi. I'm a transformational life coach, autogenic training therapist, and twin flame coach. And on this channel, Reach Your Soul, I'm supporting the divine feminines and divine masculines, and also anyone else on a journey of emotional healing through honest conversation, clarity, guidance, and relaxation practices that help you return to your true self. So back to the topic. What is really happening during the silent phase in the divine masculine, and then we will turn it to the divine feminine as well. Silence is not emptiness, it's basically restructuring. When the connection reached a depth where it couldn't longer go further on the surface level, something in his identity cracks. And when identity starts to crack, the first response is not discussion. The divine masculine needs to withdraw. He's not over-explaining. He's not over-processing verbally. He doesn't create dramatic scenes. He goes quiet. And why? Because the masculine energy processes crisis alone. Not because he is incapable, what they always think, divine feminines, that they are emotionally incapable. No, but this is how his system was built. And what's going on inside him during this total silence, separation, this often happens internally. He questions his worth. He questions whether he can hold someone in such a depth as he never done before. He confronts emotional vulnerability, and he realizes that he's not in control anymore. Most of his time in the past was much more under control. Now he can say goodbye to control as well. And this activates shame. Shame is the lowest scale on the scale of consciousness. The masculine shame is not loud. It doesn't cry dramatically. It doesn't post emotional quotes or mantras or messages. It doesn't call another 3 or 4 friends to analyze the situations and feelings. The masculine shame basically disappears. It goes into quiet and self-reconstruction. Sometimes that looks like the career needs to be reconsidered because it's not going anywhere, what he does at the moment. Life direction shifts. I went this direction, have to change completely. Responsibility redefinition. Where and how I took responsibility in my family and in the different areas of my life. The mother and father wounds are resurfacing, and the performance, what they did before, this kind of pressure is cracking. And he's not romantically suffering as we think how we suffer as divine feminines. He's restructuring. His coldness is not a lack of love. The divine masculine is not cold because he doesn't love. He loves so much. He's cold because the old version of himself can't operate in this level of emotional depth. And the new version of him is still not born, not stable. He is in transition, and the transition looks like distance from the outside. And this is the phase where the divine feminine finds the hardest, because externally it looks like there is no message, no calling, no information, no confirmation, no guarantees from their side. And this is actually what cracks the divine feminine's nervous system, and it needs to happen for recalibration. Inside him, a system upgrade is happening, and upgrades require silence, require temporary shutdown. Just you can imagine as an electric car, when you want to do a health battery check or test, the battery often needs to be discharged. And after this discharging mode, the car goes to sleep. It's completely inactive and nothing seems to be happening. But internally, the recalibration happens in a silent way. When the process is over, the car wakes up as well and begins charging again, but in a different mode. And during that sleep phase, you are not supposed to disturb it. You don't keep opening your app or the door of the car and checking all the time about the system upgrade, because if you do it, then you slow the process down, basically. And your only job is simple. Do what you can in the silence. Stay connected to yourself and go and live your life until this recalibration happens. So what happens after this process that we realize that we can't open the door, we have to live our life? Internally, this deep restructuring is taking place in us, divine feminines as well. And we can't rush the process. We can't force it. We, as the divine masculine can't, the car can't, we also can't wake up earlier as we should. If our upgrade is not finished, then it would crack again. When the recalibration is not finished, we can't do anything properly. So let's turn now the mirror a little bit from the divine masculine to the divine feminine, because the dynamics are never one-sided. His silence activates something in you, and this is where it gets honest. There is an energy many divine feminines know very well, the energy of struggle, the energy of hopelessness, the energy that says, what should I do now? What did I do wrong? How should I fix this? How can I bring him back to me? How can I communicate with him to know where he is at the moment? What if he never returns? Phew, that's the biggest one. And it goes on and on. At the beginning of the journey, I think it's 24/7. And this energy is tight. It's draining. It's fast. It's restless. And while he's restructuring internally, recalibrating, you are fighting the silence. And as long as you fight it, you are energetically holding the dynamic in place. Because struggle is attachment. Attachment is basically resistance. And resistance can block everything, all this recalibration. So how can you use the silence in the separation? That's the question. The silence is not punishment, it's a space for us. It's a kind of invitation for the divine feminine to restructure their life. So let's ask a couple of questions from ourselves. What am I restructuring? Am I collapsing in this lack? Am I collapsing during the silence? Or I'm integrating things in myself and I work on my stability? It shouldn't be that I fall back into emotional scarcity. And if I have it in my mind that he doesn't come back or he comes back, then I'm frozen because I don't know the right answer. No, that's collapse. And when the shift happens without manipulation, only integration in us, the feminine and masculine energies should be integrated, then we know that we have our job also in this silence phase. It's like moving among countries. When I moved countries, I met different types of people. And honestly, at times, I was one of them. There were those who constantly explained why staying where they were wasn't really right for them. How they miss their home country, miss this, miss that. How life would be better somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. Their body was in one place and their mind and heart was somewhere else. And then there was this other type, the ones who completely denied their roots because they focused only on the problems back home, politics, past, the pain, the disappointments, everything. They almost convinced themselves that going back was impossible. And that is how they could feel okay in the new country. But it is not because they really felt okay. They had to have this kind of evidence in their head. But that lasts only for a year or maybe a couple of years. And then when someone really separates themselves from their root, it will come up to the surface once. So when you choose no integration, but craving for something or denying something, you can't make a full commitment where you are. You will always feel that you need to be somewhere else. And you also can't truly belong somewhere new if you are in this kind of silent resistance toward where you came from. And the same happens on the twin flame journey as well. If one part of the system is trying to convince itself that it doesn't need the other or that the connection is wrong, that may work temporarily. It may even look stable if we attach to something or if we deny something. If the separation is forced, if it's created from the fear rather than integration, the inner tension remains. Whatever we do, everything is energy. You can't override the soul long term. At some point, the roots call you back, not necessarily to a place, not necessarily to a person, but to truth inside you. And truth cannot be silenced forever. Let's now look at this career and life parallel because it's also an important topic. The same dynamic shows up in your purpose, in your life purpose, soul purpose. You start something new. You step into visibility. You start creating. You start talking about it. You launch something, and nothing explodes overnight. There may be no text from anyone, no call from anyone, no one reacts, no instant success, no applause, and then we start panicking. I'm not good enough. I chose the wrong soul mission. I should have pushed it much harder. And the struggle energy says, yes, force it now, prove it, even do it harder. But the real power says, there are sometimes silences, and I'm still stable. Growth often happens underground, not on the surface level. The system needs to recalibrate itself, not for others, but for me. Why silence is not passive? Because it's not really not doing anything or doing nothing. We still have connections. We still work. We build. We create. We lead, show up, and do our things in our own rhythm. But from the right energy, not from the lack, not from scarcity, but from the grounded presence. And this energy reorganizes the dynamic, because when we stop clinging, attaching, the system can recalibrate itself. So what is the real strength? It's not asking, did union happen yet? The real strength is that, am I stable even if there is no feedback at all? And if I don't collapse during the silence, I'm not operating from scarcity anymore. I'm not chasing, I'm not proving. I don't attach, I stand. And when someone truly stands, they don't need to convince anyone. And that's the real power. The divine masculine silence is his restructuring. The divine feminine silence is her masculine and feminine integration in herself. And where the external dynamic stands doesn't define your inner maturity. Silence is not the end, it's transition. And if you can hold yourself steady here, everything will happen when the time is right. That was it for today. I hope it brought some clarity, guidance, and deeper understanding of what you are experiencing if there is a silence or separation. And if you are ready for personal guidance or any support, you find the information in the video description, how you find me. And until next time, stay grounded and stay connected to yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Trust your intuition.